Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I want to do a review plus 6 looks with the Natasha Denona Glam Palette. This review is definitely way overdue. I've had this palette for some time now and I put a poll out to see if you guys were interested in looks with this palette, and there was definitely a very good response to this palette. So how does this palette look on brown skin? I think that's the main question for a lot of you guys out there, and I had that same question when I bought this palette. Is this going to really show up on my skin tone? Is it going to look good on my skin tone? As you guys know, I have pretty warm undertones, NC38 40 with yellow and olive undertones, and my yellow and olive undertones do lean more on the warm side than on the neutral and cool side. So I was definitely interested to see what this palette even looks like on me, and I'm gonna tell you straight off the bat, I love this palette. If you've seen my previous, I think, favorites video, I've mentioned how much I freaking love this glam palette, and I'm gonna get into a bit of a detail about this palette and show you some looks. The thing with this palette is, we all know this is a monochromatic palette, right? When I first received this, I remember looking at it and going, oh dear. But as I've been using this palette, I've definitely come to really love it. First of all, let's just talk about the quality. The quality of these eyeshadows, every single one of them, is fantastic. I've used every single shade in this palette, and I can tell you that there isn't a single shade in here that I'm gonna say sucks or doesn't blend properly or anything like that. Every single shade in this palette is amazing. Now, before I jump into some of the pros, because there are a lot of pros with this palette, I want to address the cons. Now, the cons being is that I really wish it had a black. I don't get it. Why doesn't this palette have a black? I mean, it has this very beautiful charcoal shade, but this is charcoal. This isn't a black, and I wish this had a beautiful, rich, deep, dark, matte black shade. That's something that I think would have really elevated this palette if it had a black. Now, I know Natasha Denona doesn't generally add blacks in her palettes. She has a separate black eyeshadow. I totally get that. But when I'm using this palette and I'm creating looks, I'm often wanting to reach into a black to smoke out a look, and I have to go into my other palettes to get that black. I can't get it from here. So that is a bit of a downside, especially because of the color story. Black would have fit perfectly in this palette. Next thing with this palette is that there are 2 shades, to be very specific, that are too similar to each other, and there are these 2 shades right here. So these 2 are the only shades in this palette that I would say are too close, and if you use either of those 2, they will look pretty much the same on your eye. Like, if you have a look, obviously they are different shades, but you can see they look more or less the same, and on the eye they look more or less the same. That's like barely a difference between the 2. So the palette didn't need these 2 shades. If she had put just one of these shades, it would have been perfect. Now, both these are champagne shades, so if you love using champagne colors on your eyes, you will enjoy them because they are wearable for brown skin tones. I've used both of these shades and I can wear them. So those 2 are really the only cons in my perspective. Everything else about this palette I really love. All of these shades in this palette actually show up on me. Now, these 3 shades right here, I adore. This is a beautiful pink tone that looks stunning on the eye. You've got this one that has a little bit of a sparkle, and it has this reflex that whenever I've used this shade, I have immensely enjoyed it. And then you have something very similar here as well. It's again a sparkle shade. It looks stunning in real life. It doesn't capture as well on camera, but in real life it looks fabulous. And it is a little bit of a pinky, peachy tone. It works great on my skin tone. Then I absolutely adore these 3 matte shades. I use them all the time. I dip my brushes in there constantly. I love that they aren't warm. Like, these aren't warm at all. Even this blend shade is perfection. Then you have these 2 shades right here. I am obsessed with this shade, a beautiful gray tone silver. I can totally rock this, and it looks fabulous. It looks great. It doesn't look chalky or muddy or too icy on the eye. It's the perfect tone of silver that still looks like silver, but it has that gray base so that it doesn't look too icy. Now, the shade right next to that, which is this shade right here, this is the shade that I use kind of in moderation because this is definitely on the icy side. I'm not a huge fan for my skin tone of icy shades like this. So what I would normally do, for example, if I'm doing a silver eye look where I've got the gray tone silver sort of on the eye, and I want that eye to be a little bit more reflective, all I'll do is take a little bit of this and add it right in the center of the eyelid, and that's it. So that's all that I use that shade for. And then talking about the last row, probably my favorite row are these shades. So 1, 2, and 3, those are my absolute favorites. I love using this gold. This gold is like this neutral, muted gold. Oh my God, it's stunning. It's one of the most beautiful golds I've come across. Look at that. So wearable, neutral, is not intense. If you wear it, you don't feel like, oh my God, I've got a gold eye look. It's just, oh my God, I'm obsessed. And pairing this gold with these browns is match made in heaven. So this whole quadrant right here is a match made in heaven. This one, a rich, neutral, chocolatey brown, and it has a little bit of shimmer in it. Perfection. And then this right here, pewter gray. Oh my God, look at that. Definitely a pewter gray tone. I love it. I love this palette. I really do. I didn't think I was gonna love it as much as I do because I'm a warm tone girl. I feel like warm tone eyeshadows also look the best on my skin tone, but this palette has converted me. Love wearing this to work, especially in winter when grays look, I don't know what it is about winter, but grays look amazing in winter and in fall. So I really thoroughly enjoyed using this palette for fall and for winter looks. So let's jump into the looks that I'm about to show you. So the approach I've taken with these looks is that I actually really wanted to show you the looks that I personally use the most from this palette, whether it's going to work or going out, the type of looks that I just gravitate towards whenever I see this palette and I pick it up. Those are the type of looks I want to show you today. So I'll be doing 6 looks all together, including the look that's on my eye. For the look I'm wearing today, into this blend shade, I love this color. This is the perfect transition shade. Even all over eyelid color, it's perfect because it's not warm, it's not cool, and it just has this perfect balance just in that crease area. I don't really need to bring it down. So I'm going to go into this shade and this brown shade, and I'm actually going to mix the two. So I'm going to pop my ring finger into the brown, do a couple of swirls, and then into the gray and do a couple of swirls. And then I'm going to pop this on the lid. And it gives such a beautiful color. It's like a taupey gray tone. It's stunning. I really love actually mixing the two shades together. And I'm just going to pat it all over the eye. It kind of looks olive on my skin tone. I love it. Just a blending brush, and I'm just going to blend this shade into the crease. Oh my God, I love this. Now I'm going to do the same to the lower lash line. I'm going to pick up the brown and then go and pick up the gray with my Natasha Denona brush number 12. And I'm just going to give it a nice tap and then run this under the eye. So normally when I wear this eye look, I don't really do anything else apart from, of course, adding an eye pencil, mascara, that type of thing. But today I will deepen up the outer V just with that charcoal shade. Normally I don't do that because I love how this looks. And it's super easy and simple. But of course, if you wanted to add some depth, you can do that with the charcoal shade. So I'm going to do that now. And just adding that to the outer V. And adding some depth is just going to turn this look into something that looks a little bit more glam. And now I'm just blending it into the crease. Ignore my little eye here. I don't know why this eye is watering today. It is what it is. I'm going back in just a little bit more of that charcoal shade right on the edge here. And then going to blend it out. I'm also going to take the charcoal shade in the lower lash line. And so you can either wear this look just like this, or you can of course add some depth. Now you can leave the eyes like this, or you can actually top up this look with a little bit of sparkle. So the sparkle can come from a shade like this, which will turn this eye a little bit more gray, and it would look absolutely beautiful. You can also use this shade right here, which has a sort of like a beautiful peachy pink sparkle, but this will lighten up the look, which is not what I'm looking for. Or you can go in with the gold. I think I'm feeling the gold today, so I'm gonna go in with this gold. I'm gonna pick up just a little bit, and I'm gonna apply it right to the center. Yes, that is exactly what I'm in the mood for today. Just a little bit of that gold right in the middle. That looks really, really beautiful. This is the final look. All I've done is added some eye pencil and mascara. I've prepped my eyelids as usual with some concealer, and for this look I'm gonna go in to this brown shade right here, and then I'll take in a little bit of this shade just to blend out in the crease. And I'll go add in a little more. And just go in the outer third. Now I'm going to take a small blending brush. I'm going to go into this blend shade, and I'm just going to diffuse out those edges. And bringing it into the crease. I'm really not touching the middle of this part here. I want to leave that dark. I'm just touching the edges. Now I'm going to take that same transition shade and just very gently, just in this area right here, I'm just in circular motions going to blend it out. That's it. And then I'm going to take this beautiful pink tone, which is right here. It's like a very, very pretty, rosy, but very much on the paler neutral side. Add that all over my eye. You see how pretty that is? Oh my god, that's beautiful. And I'm just going to apply that. Now this shade is very pigmented. That was just one dip and I didn't even go hard. So very pigmented shade. You really don't need a lot. Go back in with the blending brush and just blend that edge out a little bit. And take a clean finger and just tap at that edge. Just so it becomes softer and more diffused. Now with this look, there wasn't really any fallout, so I've just added some concealer and just a really dark brown cool eyeshadow pencil, just a very thin line. So now I'm going to go back into that brown, and I'm going to go into the lower lash line. Make sure you tap off the mattes, otherwise you will get some fallout. So this is the look. I've just added some mascara. And if this is too much for you, just remember you can really tone down these shadows. So for example, that pink that I used, if I picked up an even smaller amount than what I did, as you can see, I'm just gonna, you can really sheer out that pink. You see how intense that is? And I only picked up a very small amount. So just remember, if you want a really sheer application, pick up very, very small. I went in a little bit heavy, I wanted to show you the intensity. But if you sheer it out, it turns into this glistening, beautiful, soft pink shade. You can see that. And that's how it looks on the eye as well, if you really were to sheer this out. So for example, I have worn this to work with just the blend shade in the crease, and then a very, very small amount just smudged everywhere. And it looks very pretty and slightly ethereal, and yet appropriate for brown skin. So love that shade. Now let's move on to this eye. So for this eye, what I want to show you is, we'll do a bit of a halo eye. So I'm gonna go in with the blend shade as normal using the Van Gogh's brush 05, oops, this way, and I'm going to apply that right up the top of the crease. I'm gonna go into this beautiful shade right here. This is another one of those shades that I want to work where I've just used this shade all over the eye, add a little bit of a crease shadow, and you're good to go. And it looks beautiful. And I keep going into this eye. I'm just going to add that to the outer V. Look at that, it's a beautiful color. And I'm also adding that to the inner corner as well. Taking that up. And now I'm going to go back into my blending brush and I'm just going to blend this out. Gonna go into the transition shade, which is that blend shade, and just going to blend. Now I'm gonna go back into the same shade with the same brush and just intensify it a little bit more. Okay, now to create that halo eye effect, there's lots of shades you can go in. You can go in with the gold, you can go in with this beautiful brow bone shade. It's not for brow bone, but you can use it as a part of the halo eye. You can go with the silvery look. That will look really beautiful. If you add that silver right in the middle, that's going to look stunning. This shade, there's just so many options, but I want to show you this shade right here. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to take a small amount of that shade and really just press that into the middle. Oh my God, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful sparkly shade. And I've used a very small amount. That's so stunning. Okay, so now that I've got that, I want to add a bit more depth to this eye look. So I'm going to take this gorgeous dark gray shade right here, this one, on the same brush, which is the Natasha Denona number 12. And I'm just, keep going to the wrong side. And I'm just going to tap that right at the edge here. Just to deepen up that gray. So you could leave it the way it was before if you wanted a slightly softer look. But I quite like it when it's deepened, just on the edges. So I'm gonna go with that shade on both sides. Take your pinky finger, just blend over here. And now I'm just going to take my blending brush and just go ahead and blend. I'll pick up that blend shade right here. Just going to blend the edge. Now with this look, I do have fallout because these shades right here, which is this shade and this shade that I use, it does have fallout. So I'm going to clean that up, apply some concealer, and I'll be back. So I've just added concealer under my eye and added a black eye pencil. It's Marc Jacobs Blacker, and that looks so gorgeous. I really love this beautiful gray tone halo eye, which is not completely gray. You know, got that hint of gray that's coming through. That is really stunning. Now I'm going to go back into that same shade here, and I'm going to add it to the lower lash line. I'm going to make sure I tap it very well because I don't want any fallout while I've got my concealer on. And I'm just going to run that in the lower lash line. Great, I didn't have any fallout, which was fantastic. Now I'm going to go with a teeny tiny brush. This is from WhatsApp Beauty. And I'm going to go into that very dark charcoal gray shade right here. That's a beautiful color. I love that color. And I'm just going to hit that close to the lash line. And here is the look. I've just added mascara. Now for the next two looks, I'm going to show you what I often do actually for work. So I love using this palette for work, and these are the two sort of looks that repeatedly I kind of do week to week. So I'll start off with the first one, which I'm using the blend shade right here. And for work, I generally don't do elaborate eye looks or anything like that. I keep it very simple because I leave pretty early in the morning and I don't want to spend a lot of time doing my makeup. So that there is the blend shade in the crease, and I'm gonna do the same on the side as well because that step doesn't change for me. Then I'm gonna take this beautiful gray tone right here. I'm just taking it on my finger and just going to apply this all over the lid. I recommend just tapping motions, don't rub it in. And with tapping motions, you're really not going to get fallout. But if you try and rub it in, you are going to get some fallout. Then taking my blending brush, I am just going to blend this out into the crease and run that at the lower lash line. Boom, quick, easy, work appropriate smoky eye. I love it. I love doing this look. And so I'll finish this off eye later, but I want to show you the other one that I often do for work. Instead, I'll use this shade right here, which is, of course, that beautiful, rich, neutral brown shade. It has a little bit of shimmer, just like the gray tone, which is what makes these eye looks look really interesting. So I'm going to take that on my ring finger and tap that all over the eye. And of course, I'm going to take my blending brush and just blend that out into the crease. Then I'm going to use the same brush I used before and pick up some product just on the tip, give that a nice tap, and I'm going to run that just at the lower lash line. And I haven't gotten any fallout, which is fantastic. And here's the two look, you guys, that I've done countless times for work. I love that they look a little bit different. They're not just your standard eye look that I normally would do for the office. They're quite different, and I really love both of the looks. So here's the look. So I'm going to first go in with this shade, and I'm going to focus that just above the crease. And remember, go above the crease. So after you've sort of mapped out the eye, so next I'm going to go in with this beautiful chocolatey shade right here, and I'm going to apply this all over the eye. You can see that it's beautiful, beautiful tone of brown. It's not warm and it's not too cool. Then I'm going to take the same brush that I had before, and I'm just going to blend in the edges. Now I'm going to add in just a little bit of definition in the outer V, and I'm going to take that dark matte brown, which is this shade right here. And I'm just going to lightly touch it right here. And I'm going to go in and just kind of blend the edge right here. Now I'm going to take this gold shade right here. It's kind of like a neutral gold, and I'm going to apply this in the center. See? That's gorgeous. I love how this is like a soft gold. This isn't like a very yellow gold. I have just done my base and my concealer, and I've also added just a black pencil on the upper eye. I'm gonna go back into this brown right here. Make sure I tap really well because I don't want any fallout now that I've done my concealer. And I'm just going to drag that across. And now I'm gonna take this teeny tiny brush, very small and pointed, and I'm gonna go into the deeper matte shade right here, give that a good tap and run that just along the lower lash line, just to deepen it up a little bit. This is the final look. And what I love about this eye is that this is a very neutral eye. So you can pair this with any color story. So today I've paired this with like a pinky brown look. I've got pinky cheeks and then pinky brown lip. And that just together looks really beautiful. You can also pair this with peaches and corals and warm tones. It's a very versatile eye. Really, for any occasion, you can rock this. And pretty much with any lipstick or blush. So the looks that I've shown you guys with this palette, you can actually do a lot more. I didn't show you any looks with the champagne tones. I also didn't show you anything with the silver tones, just because I personally don't wear them very frequently. So the champagne tones I've worn probably only twice, and the silver tone I've worn once. Whereas the other tones that I've shown you in this video, those are the ones I consistently reach for, and I've done those looks countless times. By the way, I just wanted to say, I haven't shown you this look, but this eyeshadow right here, this is so beautiful. If you were to add this eyeshadow all over the eye, so make sure you conceal your eyelids first, just so you've got even color all over your lids. And then this shade, it's so beautiful. It's like this perfect nude tone for my skin tone. It looks stunning all over the eye just on its own. And then you can add a liner or a eye pencil and you're good to go. You can, of course, also add different tones, different shimmers right on top of that. So for example, this gold here that I'm kind of obsessed with, if I was to add this gold right on top of this shade, right here, it just turns into this really stunning look, peachy tone look. I think I added too much gold. Let me do this again. There you go, that's better. So this one right here, you can see how beautiful that looks. Right here I added a lot of gold, whereas right here I added only a small amount of gold. So you can kind of control how much eyeshadow you want to use, and that will change your eye look. Another eye look that I haven't shown you but that I've enjoyed wearing is taking this smoke shade right here and just popping this all over the eye, almost like a smoky eye. So this is what that shade looks like, and then you can just top it off with one of these gray tones. So this one or this one, both look really beautiful. This one right here, if I just take a little bit of this, so I've just added that gray right on top of that, and look how stunning that looks. You have a little bit of reflex that's happening there because it's slightly metallic, and this alone on its own is a gorgeous smoky eye. And you just need like 3 shades to get that look. All you'll need is this in the crease, this all over the eye, and then you're just topping it off with this shade right here. Now I quickly want to show you other looks that I've done on my channel, so I just want to talk you through how I did them. So for example, last year for Halloween I did this vampire makeup tutorial and this really extended smoked out sort of smoky eye. Now I did use another palette in that look, but really only for the transition shade, and you don't have to do that. You can just use this as your crease color or your transition shade. And of course what I did with that is I used this shade right here. I used a black to add more depth, and I topped it off with this beautiful color right in the middle. It gives that shift, that sparkle. I love it. Another look that I've done here on YouTube, I don't have a tutorial for this, but I will just tell you how I did it, is again this shade in the crease, a little bit of this smoked out. This shade all over the lid, and it just looks so beautiful and twinkly and stunning. Overall, I think this palette is a hit. I love it. I have been seriously enjoying creating looks with this palette, and it's just something different to what I already have. I have a lot of warm tone palettes and I use warm tone shades quite a bit, so I love the fact that I have a cool tone to neutral tone one that if I want to just switch it up, do something a little bit different, I can reach into this. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed the looks. A lot of the looks that I did with this palette were really simple because I just wanted to show you what I kind of use it for day to day. Let me know, what did you think of this palette? Do you have it? Are you thinking of buying it? I would love to know your thoughts. I'll see you guys in my next video. See ya!